Hey, good evening, Aaron.
Good evening.
All right. Well, tonight we are talking with XX Paranormal. They're located out of Denver, Colorado. So kind of cool that we've got a group, that's within a couple hundred miles of us.
Fairly close.
Yeah, it's a group of all female investigators. So yeah, really looking forward to talking to them tonight and seeing about their spots down in the Denver, northern Colorado area.
For sure.
The Paranomalies podcast would like to thank Twinkle Twinkle Little Store located in Cheyenne, Wyoming for sponsoring our show.
Hey, Jason, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you doing, Aaron?
Doing good. Glad the weather's warming up and daylight is staying around a little longer.
Yep, a little bit. Not getting dark at 4:30 anymore, thankfully.
Right. Yep. So,
That
as you
always
said, tonight we have some great guests from about 100 miles away.
yeah, we were going to be talking with XX Paranormal. They are based out of Denver, Colorado, and let's go ahead and bring them in and have a chat.
Good evening, ladies. How are you?
Good evening. Doing good.
Hello.
Hello. So you're just down the road from us in Denver, about 100 miles or so. How's it down there this evening? Are you guys warming up as well?
Yeah, it's been nice. No snow today. It was a nice day. I was able to get out for a walk, which was great. I know Christine's in the mountains.
Yep, I'm in the foothills, so we're at about 8,000 feet, and we've had sun, so it's been really nice. The wind finally
wonderful.
stopped. No
Nice.
wind. Oh.
Yeah, the wind has been brutal this past week. I was looking where I work. We've got a weather station mounted, and we were almost -60 with the wind chill over the weekend. So
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah,
no, thank
it was
you.
brutal.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So, just being down in Denver, Mackenzie, let's ask you first. What made you get started in the paranormal?
Yeah, I had an experience when I was a young child. I saw something in my curtains, and my grandma was staying the night, so I tried to wake her up to show it to her, and I knew I wasn't dreaming. And that experience always stuck with me, so I kind of always watched the shows and was interested in paranormal. But then when I got out of college, I have a degree in mass communication, and to date myself, I saw a Craigslist ad to be a TV show host for a paranormal show. And I auditioned and I got the part to be a co-host. And it was we filmed a pilot, but the pilot didn't get picked up. But while doing that, we got to investigate the melting pot in Littleton. And I worked with a paranormal team and saw how they used the equipment, and that there was something to it, like it was actually working. And it was just a crazy night, and I was just hooked after that. So just stuck with it and was on some other teams, and then we formed our team in 2018.
Nice. Jeez. Mass communication, then able to go and do something like that, host a paranormal show. Sure, it was kind of a bummer that it didn't get picked up, but still some fun, right?
Yeah, a lot of good came out of it. A passion and hobby came out of it. So
That's awesome.
I've been addicted to it ever since. So it's a good time.
Nice. Christine, let's ask you the same question. What got you started in the paranormal?
I'm probably one of the people who has kind of been a believer my whole life. I was just raised in a household where there was not a question of ghosts and spirits, and um, to avoid the cliche, had what can only be described as what I call a spiritual experience. and just decided, you know what, I've always wanted to do this and I'm going to try it. And went on a public event and thought that my experience was what everyone felt. And I know now it wasn't. I can feel things. And so I just decided I love this. And I went to more events and then was eventually asked to join the team. And that's actually how Mackenzie and I met on a team at around 10 years ago. And as soon as I went on the events, I was just absolutely hooked. And, you know, like Mackenzie said, I saw the things happening. I was feeling things. I was hearing things. And I love it.
Nice. Julia, what got you started? Julia's webcam is not working, so she has this really cool cat for her little avatar. Julia, what got you started in the paranormal?
Well, kind of the same. I mean, had experiences when I was younger. Didn't exactly know what they were. Kind of wanted to find an answer to it. I went to New Orleans and went on a public investigation. Thought it was pretty cool. Kind of started buying some of my own equipment that I saw in the shows and just kind of messing around with it. And then joined a team, and it wasn't quite the right fit for me. But that's also where I met Mackenzie, and we decided that we were going to kind of break off and do our own thing. And that's what we've done since.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah,
So-
it seems to like the common theme here is you know, trying out investigations and then getting hooked, which I think is, you know, how a lot of us start,
Mhm.
right? And then comes the dreaded buy all the gear, you know.
Yes.
You never have everything, right? They're always coming out with new stuff. So
I mean, we were just talking about it right before we came live about full spectrum cameras. You know, which one do you like and which one are you using? And yeah, there's so much stuff out there. Of course, just to let everyone know that's watching, none of that stuff tells us that there's a spirit there. You know, most of it tells us about those environmental changes, and we hope to make some kind of contact.
Yep.
Mhm.
So then, Mackenzie, Julie, you guys started a team and then brought Christine in.
Yes. So Julie and I founded the team. We had 2 other members on the team that have since moved on to other things. And then Christine and I knew each other from a previous team. And Christine, I would always invite as a guest investigator, and then, you know, convinced her to come over to the team officially. And yeah, it's great.
Convinced.
We all have such great energy on the team. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
she says
convinced. So you
like,
had to twist
doesn't-
her arm, right?
Yeah.
I think that was her exact word, was like, twist my arm.
And you said 2018. Oh, I'm sorry. You said 2018. You started XX Paranormal.
That's correct.
So in these years that you've been doing this, we see that you do some public events. But let's talk about some of the places that you've investigated. Let's start in the Denver area. What have you investigated in that Denver area? Well, Denver, not just the metro area, but let's go to, like, you know, all the outlying suburbs. Some of the places you've investigated there.
Yeah, so most recently, I would say 4 Mile Historic Park. It's technically in like Glendale. They call it 4 Mile Historic Park because it was 4 miles from Denver. A bunch of settlers would stop there on their way to Denver, get freshened up before heading into Denver. So we do a lot of public events there. We've also done the Denver Firefighters Museum. We also have a great relationship with the John Tomei Memorial Library in Georgetown. And then we've investigated the cemeteries kind of in some places like Idaho Springs. We've all done kind of some different events from different teams as well. We've done Christine and I have done the Lumber Baron Inn before. What am I missing?
The Colorado Railroad Museum.
Oh yeah, that's a really good one in Golden.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's one of my favorites.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. It's a great location because I think it sparks a little kid in all of us because you're around trains and
Yep, all the trains.
I mean, it's the trains, and I grew up. I love trains. And so there's that part of it. But we had the opportunity to investigate one night where it was all paranormal teams. And there were some mediums that were also there, and the insight that they gave to that location was really interesting too, because it kind of confirmed what I think a lot of us felt, that there are some spirits that are connected to the trains that are there themselves, but it's also just the location. It's the energy up against that mesa in Golden, and it's just a really peaceful, calm, quiet place. And the medium that we spoke to was talking about how they just like it here. And then you guys show up and it's like a party. So that I think is just a great location. I've never not had activity at that location.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
and
interesting. Okay.
Julia's daughter actually joined us on one of the investigations there and was playing a game with some children's spirits there too. We had little kid spirits there.
Yes, that was very, very interesting evening. She's come with us a couple of times, but I think that one is probably the most interactive. The spirits have been with her.
Wow, what game are they playing?
Well, it's kind of one that we made up on our own. It was kind of like a version of hide and seek. It was a tap, and I'll try to find out where you're at. You got to let me know if I get close, then you make a really loud noise, you make a knocking noise or something. It was something like that. But yeah, it was a version of hide and seek, and it was really interesting.
We were getting a lot of taps. Like we were definitely like her daughter would go where she heard the tapping, and then the tapping would move to another part. Like it was really fun.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
We were talking to someone earlier in October, and she owns a location in Minnesota, and they do blackjack. They brought in cards, and they were doing blackjack and using spirit box, and they were getting like hold and stay and hit. And it's something that we've now are adding to our arsenal of stuff, just a deck of cards. So I think that's, who doesn't like a good game? You know?
Yeah, we try to incorporate other game type themes and things like that with investigations as well. Because, I mean, I don't want everybody asking me the same questions over and over again. Who are you? When did you die? Why are you here? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's good to ask those things as well, but it's keeping it more interactive is usually more fun for me.
Yeah, that's how I've always likened it. Is kind of, you're in a room with a bunch of people, right? And if they all just come up and ask you the same question over and over, you're gonna lose interest really quick. And same with like the provocation and instigating. Like if you're just sitting chilling in a room and someone comes up and starts screaming at you, you're either gonna push them away or just ignore them and not talk to them, right? So I never
why would you
never
want to
saw the
talk
point
to
of that.
One thing that we do at our events, and we'll break into smaller groups, and I usually will tell the people that I'm with, listen, I'm not going to sit and answer question the whole times. I want to just talk to you guys. Let's talk about anything, because if there are spirits here with us, that might be interesting to them, that we are just having a conversation. And if we can pull them and have them be a part of that conversation, and then we lead kind of into some questions that way. But there will be times where I just stop asking questions and just start talking to the people who are there. And I found that I use a Maglite flashlight, and if I stop asking questions, inevitably it's like boom, light will go on, like, hey, we're still here, come on,
I'm here, guys, come on.
ask me more questions. So I think that's a nice way to take a break also during those events. Yeah,
we host events up here. We kind of do the same thing. I don't even mind like cracking jokes and laughing and getting that, you get that good energy out there, and they're feeding off that energy just as much as like that, just hammering them with stuff.
Yeah, totally. Mackenzie will attest. I probably make jokes at the worst situations. Maybe it's a defense mechanism, but yeah, I definitely like to do that. And I agree. When you have that happy energy, I think they're drawn into that too.
Yep, absolutely.
So
Yeah, we tell
Christine, you
everyone.
mentioned, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we tell everyone spirits, they're just like us. Like they have a sense of humor too. And a lot of responses we get, they're sarcastic, which is great.
Mhm.
Yeah. We did a brothel that's here in town and finally got a very sassy reply of, "You ask a lot of questions." Um,
Oh, I love that.
yeah, it was definitely a female. I would think it was probably the madam, and it was very sassy when she said it. Yeah, pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Um, Christine, you said that was your favorite place. Mackenzie, do you have a different favorite place?
Oh, so I did get a lot of activity, or well, the team did that I was with when we went to Melting Pot, which was really neat. But we were actually all talking about it as a team. A place we want to go back to is the St. Nicholas Hotel in Cripple Creek. Um, Cripple Creek is just crazy active in general. A lot of those casinos have a lot of energy. The cemetery Mount Pisgah out there does. But St. Nicholas Hotel, there's a surgical suite that we want to go stay in. We have all had crazy experiences there and a lot of activity. So that's definitely been a favorite too.
Nice. Julia, how about you? Where's your favorite place?
Well, St. Nicholas is probably at my top. I don't know. I like to just find new places. But yeah, St. Nicholas is probably at the top of places I've already been to.
St. Nicholas is a cool place. I went to an event that was all paranormal investigators and kind of like that same thing with all the same, people there for the same reason. And yeah, it was pretty neat. It's a very cool place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had a big conference there a few years ago. I remember hearing about that. I wasn't able to go, but um, Cripple Creek has just got so many, just the mining history, and I think that's up here. I'm in Clear Creek County, and so the John Tomei Library in Georgetown, that old West. I mean, you guys get it. That old West mining history is just different from other places that are just haunted or have spirit activity. I love it. I think there's something special about it.
Yeah, we've talked to quite a few people from Tennessee and back east, and they have the big sanitariums and the hospitals and the stuff like that. And there's so many of them and they're so close together. Out here, we don't have that. Anything
Yeah.
we're going to, we have to travel to, an hour, or we just book something for Labor Day. We're 10-hour drive there. And it is different. I believe it's totally different, and a different energy that you do get out here from. We're much younger than back east. And it was a little more wild at the time than back there. So I think you are getting a rougher crowd that you're talking to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they get that sassy tone, and they get snarky back and stuff. So what do you guys have ahead of you now? What are you looking at this year? We know that you do public events. Do you have some of those coming up?
We do. We actually have been talking with 4 Mile Historic Park, and they told us they actually want to bring us on for quarterly events. So we're going to be doing public events. The first one is tentatively set for April 26th. So we're going to do one of those and invite the public to join us on that. And then I would imagine we'll probably still do some more events with John Tomei Memorial Library in Georgetown. And also, we've been doing some events randomly with Alamo Draft House. Their Sloan's Lake location has had us do a couple of dead talks. So we've just been kind of speaking about the paranormal and investigating what equipment we use and kind of doing Q&A sessions after those movies. But they've also mentioned they have some activity in some of the movie theaters there. So who knows, maybe we'll end up doing an investigation there. But yeah, those are kind of top of mind. And then we've also got, there's a place in Pueblo that used to be a jail. And I think now it's like a hotel and brewery. So we might check that out in Pueblo. So yeah, we've got a few places we're interested in, and some mines too, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
George, you keep mentioning Georgetown, and all I think about is that it's a hotel museum, the Paris
The Paris.
Hotel.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Gosh, that is such a cool building, and like the stuff that they have in there that I've seen is amazing. Any
It
interest? Do they have any interest on having people in or anything?
I might have to reach out to some people and find out. Um, I'm not sure, I've heard people talk about things that have happened in there when they've been on the public tours. I don't know if the owners are the type of people who want to promote any of that activity. Georgetown has a lot of haunted places.
Yes.
Mackenzie and I, uh, I'll let you tell the story, but we had probably one of our my most memorable experience.
You got to
Um,
tell them, Christine. I mean, this is, an infamous story that everyone needs to hear.
well, okay, so as background, I think, so when I mentioned the first event I ever went to, I was having all of these experiences and I assumed everyone else was having it. Well, what was happening was I was physically feeling them, um, feeling a choking feeling, feeling hot. I was feeling their emotions. And as I started doing more events, I realized that I could physically feel them touching me. And so I quickly became Mackenzie's favorite trigger object. But we were up at she'll just say, "Hey, Christine can feel you. Just touch her head. She's cool.
Oh,
It's all
geez.
good."
If you ever see
Um,
clips of Christine on our page, like going like this, like she usually feels it on like the top of her head a lot of the times.
Oh,
and
interesting.
it's so funny because I see the videos and I don't even realize I'm doing it. And so Mackenzie knows if I start playing with my head, there's something around me. Um, but so we were up in Georgetown at it was the Red Ram, and it was this Mexican restaurant and bar. The Red Ram was in the basement, and it was where non-local people were asked to drink back in the day. Um, and so we're investigating down there, and it has since burned mysteriously. They never found out the cause other than the fact that the house, the entire building is haunted. But I'm standing in a corner. So my back is to a corner, and this is like big stone masonry wall. Mackenzie is standing right in front of me, and something grabbed my butt, like grabbed and grabbed to the
Oh,
point where I jumped and I was startled. And I said,
I
"Oh
would
my
too. Yeah.
God." Oh my God. And Mackenzie turns around. She's like, "What happened?" And I said, "Okay, my big old butt either just hit the wall or something just grabbed me." And we started laughing so hard.
But
And
she
I
was
was
like
like,
3 feet away from any wall. Like she definitely did not hit the wall.
I was not close enough, to be touching the wall, but there was also like no one and nothing but the wall behind me. But it was a very forceful um, grab. And
mhm.
so that's really when I knew, okay, they can touch me. I can feel these things. And now we have fun with it. Um, and I've had a lot of other experiences that way too.
So with being more prone to physical, contact from spirits, do you ever feel you have to put up kind of some extra protection or barriers or limits that you kind of, lines in the sand when it starts happening?
Not when it starts happening. I definitely do. I do before events. If it's sitting in my car before I go into any location, I kind of do my own meditation and protection. And throughout the evening, I will repeat that. I thank anyone who's communicated with us, but you have to stay here. At the end of the night, I repeat, you cannot come home with me when I get in my car. I do kind of the same protective measures that I do at the start. And I ask to detach any energy and move on. Most recently, I was driving home from our last event at 4 Mile, and I could just feel something in the car. I could feel something with me. So it made for an interesting drive home. I just talked to it the whole time and I could just feel it lightening up. And eventually by the time I got home, I knew it wasn't with me anymore.
Yeah, that's something I've had. I've been followed home once where it was, I always, take the measures, right, like you were talking about. And this one time I just didn't do it. And then we hear a noise out in the kitchen. This is the day after I got done investigating, and we come out and all the spoons had been taken out of our silverware drawer and placed on the floor.
Oh
So
my gosh.
actually, yeah, and this is a place I investigate quite a bit. And ended up going back up there and, doing the, hey, this is where you stay. Love talking to you, but I'm looking for a friend, not a roommate. So,
Yep.
just stay here, please. And, and that seemed to do it. But yeah, that was kind of a, an eerie thing, right? Knowing that something followed you home and,
It happened to
that
me
it's
once.
really important. Yep.
Yep. And I realized after that event that I definitely had not protected myself afterwards. And the fact that I was talking about my friend, there was definitely something there. It was like you said, for me too, it was very easy to identify what it was. And I simply asked him to leave and he did.
That's good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was lucky.
It's
We've known other investigators who have not been so lucky. And
Yeah.
yeah, and we warn people about that at our events. Listen,
mhm.
we can do as much, we can guide you, but when it comes down to it, you are going to need to do this for yourself when you leave this event tonight.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I know the place Jason's talking about, we investigate there a lot because it's like he has the key, we just go. But I think sometimes I feel like I may get a little complacent because, we're there so much and I forget that as we're leaving and we're going down the steps. There's 33 steps to get into the building. So as you're going down, you're like, oh yeah, hey, you cannot come home with us tonight.
Yep.
Yep.
Last minute before we hit the door, like, oh yeah, I need to tell you, because that's not what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Go ahead.
go ahead, Mackenzie.
I was just going to say, we tell people too that the spirits that come are not necessarily attached to that location. They could be coming from other places. They could be coming from nearby, like, hey, what's happening over there? There's a party over there. I want to talk. I want to come in. And so it's not always something that's just at that location. So there can be new energy that comes in. So.
And I think that was really what happened this last time. And I could just feel it. And luckily it worked out. But we did kind of have a party. So it was a fun
yeah.
one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Mackenzie was touching on, we don't know why a spirit's at a location, right? If you follow everything Hollywood, it's always because someone died there or they're attached to an object, right? That's it. As long as you don't take that object, everything's fine. But it's actually a lot more complicated than that, and we don't know why they're coming through. Are these for us up here, right? All these buildings used to be connected. There were tunnels going to certain buildings from brothels and bars and all that. You don't know the full extent of the history of a place. And I think, places like this out west, it's really hard to get the whole history of it.
Yeah. Let's step back to the equipment thing. Julie, you mentioned getting in with the team. You had gotten all the equipment. Do you have a favorite piece of equipment that you use, or is it more just a sense that you have?
It's kind of a little bit of both, but for the most part, us as a team, even our favorite equipment is ourselves. Using our intuition, our feelings, things like that. But as far as actual like electronic equipment, my favorite device is probably going to be what's that called? The EVP recorder. Thank you. There it is.
Yeah, just a recorder. I like the EVP stuff myself. So yeah, recorder, and like spirit box.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I love that you can hear their voices, and when you ask questions, you get a direct response, and then the same voice comes through over and over again, answering your questions. It's such a cool thing.
Right.
Or if you get
Same
multiple
tone,
voices.
the same pitch. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, or if you get a different voice, then it's just not something on a broken radio, right?
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
Or cuss
Yeah.
words or different languages.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been cussed at a lot of times, and so we know that's not radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seem to be the one, like doing Estes sessions that I'll get the cuss words and some of the nastier, attitude coming through for some reason.
Yeah, we've gotten that.
Yeah.
This last event we had, a couple of the guests wanted to try the Estes method, and so it would get quiet and I would ask a question, and it was hysterical because she was like, next, and everyone started laughing, and I said, does someone else need to ask a question? Yes. And I was like, oh my gosh, we were laughing so hard because this woman was just repeating what she was hearing through the spirit box, with the
Right.
headphones. And
Right.
we were laughing. And so I was like, all right, I'm out of here. And everyone, so when I say it was a party, that's how it was. And then what ended up being great was that ended up forcing all of the participants who maybe hadn't been, willing to just speak out and ask that question they wanted to ask, started doing it. And it ended up being really fun.
That's something we've
Yeah.
not done with our guest. I think we just feel that the Estes is something that's a little deeper. And if you're not 100% sure about it, that it could come back to maybe bite you in the butt.
I do warn people. I'm like, I've
Yes.
done it, but it's really intense because the sensory deprivation, you don't
Mhm.
realize. You're like, oh, I'm just going to be listening to this. But when you just close off that world, and it is such a closer interaction with them, I think. And so I was surprised actually that we had 2 people who wanted to try it.
And
Yeah,
I got to
that's
give a
pretty
shout
interesting.
out. So we actually know the person, Callie, that developed the Estes method. She came to our dead talk at the Alamo Draft House, and she's like, I created that method, right? And I was like, how did I not know that? So I got to give her credit for that. It's such a cool, fun method to really get some cool responses.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It
intense,
is.
though.
Yeah. A lot of our watchers of this are going to know that we do a double Estes everywhere we go. So we use the SB11 when we do that, because you can use 2 channels. And some of the interactions between spirits, even when you're doing it, is pretty neat. Getting,
That's cool.
That's
one
really
person
cool.
and the other one, and they're interacting between themselves and with you asking the questions. You're getting those responses.
We'll have to try
that would
that.
be-
I mean, I think
yeah.
even if you connected to 2 different spirit boxes, you could probably still.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Love that idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I love doing the double Estes. It's draining. And for some reason, to me, it's more draining than, just doing like a standard Estes session. I mean, like I've talked about on this show before, there's times, we've done a 35, 40-minute double Estes, and then, I sleep half 3/4 of the day the next day. I am just absolutely drained from it. But we get
Mhm.
some of the best evidence we've ever gotten, doing this. It's really, really interesting.
We warn people about the paranormal hangover, that
Mhm.
you'll probably get home and you'll be super jazzed up and super excited, and you'll have a little bit of an adrenaline rush, and then you won't be able to sleep, and then you'll just be completely dead tired. Because
Mhm.
Yep.
I think they definitely do use your energy when you do these investigations. They use your
Oh, yeah.
equipment, they drain it, but they also use you.
Yep.
Mhm.
Well, and I think we don't even, for me personally, I feel like I always have to take into account all of that energy around us when they're with us, when it just grows into this stronger thing. And I come home and I'm just like, all right, it's 4 a.m. I'm still awake,
Yep.
and it's not the coffee I drank at 6 to keep me up till midnight. And my poor husband, I'm just like, well, I'm just up. So,
I'm wired. Let me tell you about the entire night.
Yes. Yep.
He'll ask
Whoops,
in the
did I
morning.
drop
He knows
it
better.
loud and
Yeah.
wake you up? My bad. Now I can tell you about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you won't believe what happened. They
Yeah.
said my name. Yeah. I think I did that the first time I did. We were doing a spirit box session at the Lumber Baron in the basement, and one of the other investigators said, "Is there anyone's name here? You know, someone that you know?" Because our team, we had investigated there several times, and clear as day, a male voice came through and said, "Christine," and I went, "Pretty sure he said Steve. He said Steve, right?" And everyone just started laughing because in that moment, it kind of freaked me out.
Yeah.
I always introduce myself, but to have your own voice come through the spirit box, that was pretty cool. Or your name.
Name.
Mhm.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I believe all of us have at one point on our team. And it's, depending on where you are, it can be a little unnerving too.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I took
Our-
my kids out to investigate, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago now. And so they were interested about the Estes method. So I went under and I had my buddy that came out with me, you know, to help them out. They're on their late teens. And my son asked, you know, "Can you tell me something about myself? Tell me something." And, you know, we were recording this on video camera. And I said his biological mom's name. And so, you know, they start getting excited and he goes, "Okay, who is that to me?" And I got it plain as day through the headphones. "It's your mommy." Just like that, really mocking, really. Oh, and
Oh
he
my
freaked. He was like, "All right,
gosh.
I'm done. Let's call this."
Oh my God.
Aw.
My kids are, well, my oldest is really into it too. And we were actually doing an investigation up in Georgetown, and he texted me. He said, "Mom, can I get any of your equipment?" And I was like, "All right, I'll give you, you know, my old SB11 and a speaker, and you can have a flashlight." And so they went up to the cemetery in town, and this was a double date. And I'm laughing to myself, like only my kid would, you know, go on a double date to a cemetery with
Right.
paranormal equipment.
That's funny.
And they had nothing happening. And he's walking out and he's like, "Well, who knows, maybe next time." And his friend goes, "Come on, can't someone, like, is there anyone here?" And yeah, exactly. And they were in a car, and there were 3 knocks on the back of the window,
Oh, wonderful.
Oh.
Yep.
and there was no one there. My son hit the brake lights. There was no one there. And his friend was like, "Get the bleep out of
Yep.
here."
This is getting too real now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
time to
sometimes
go.
you
I'm supposed to
gotta
really answer.
be careful what you ask for. You might get it.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, the last place I want to hang out is a cemetery when I'm dead, you know. I want
Right?
to
Yeah.
go around all these different places.
Yeah, I want to go check out all the
Yeah.
cool stuff, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Bucket list place. Mackenzie, what's your bucket list place?
I think it's still probably Waverly Hills Sanitarium. I have just heard crazy stories from there and still haven't made it out there. But I actually just had a baby in November, so I'm kind of like rethinking some of these scarier places. And I'm like, now I got to think about my child, and I don't know. It just changes your whole perspective.
I just brought
Well,
him with when they were old
congratulations.
enough, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Julia, how about you? What's your bucket list place?
My bucket list place is the Hoyubachu Forest. That I definitely got to go.
Nice.
Yeah, that's on my list too. That would be, I think, just an intense place to visit.
Absolutely.
Is that the one you've been talking about, Jason?
No,
Or is that a
I
different-
talked about the one that's out in Eastern Europe there by Castle Dracula and all that, where
Hmm.
you know you've got the woods where that large circle of trees,
Yep.
just nothing grows in the center of it.
Yeah.
They've done test studies, all that. It's not radiation or anything weird. They just it's just
Nothing
perfect.
grows.
Well, not perfect circle, but it's this big
Yeah.
circle of just dead zone there. Yeah, I've always wanted to go visit that.
Yeah, that would be awesome too.
Christine, what's your bucket list place?
I think I have 2. When you said Transylvania, I mean, that would be
Oh my gosh.
absolutely a dream.
I know. It's like,
but-
I want to go investigate a castle too.
Yeah.
but here in the States, I'd say Tombstone.
Tombstone. Been there many times. Stepson is stationed in Tucson. So Tombstone is like our default vacation place.
Oh,
We'll see
nice.
him, and then it's an hour down. Get there. It's amazing. It's a cool place. 9 o'clock, the sidewalks roll up, the bars are open, but like Allen Street is completely quiet. Other than you hear those, come like 1 o'clock, the town is completely quiet. We were out there like 1 o'clock taking pictures and sitting on the bloody corner where gunfights happen, and had the camera up and voice recorder. And not far from that is Bisbee. It's about 11 miles south.
Okay.
Another cool town. That is a cool place.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
was
was
going
able
to say
to go
you've
to.
got some amazing pictures that you've taken there. Sorry if I interrupted you.
Oh, no.
But yeah, I think on your Facebook you've got them up, don't you, Aaron? Where
Yeah.
you
Yep.
just
There are those night winds. It looks like it's daytime, but it was a full moon. So
Oh,
it just lit everything up. We both got some great ones of like the bird cage. Discover Tombstone actually hit up Gina for one of her pictures,
oh,
and they
wow.
used it.
Oh,
one
I didn't know
day.
that either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah. And it was just iPhone pictures. It wasn't anything, but it was pretty neat. It's a super cool place.
Yeah, I was able to visit Jerome last January, and very cool town. Man, I would love to spend more time. Got to talk to people. Every, store owner was like, "Oh yeah, this place is crazy haunted." And yeah, really fun.
Yeah. We talked to Arizona Pie last week before. And they're out of one of the suburbs of Phoenix.
Okay.
And
Yep.
it was great to talk to them and all these places, Globe and Miami and all these little old towns that's all over Arizona. Yeah, it's a cool place.
Yeah, I think living in a mining town, our high school mascot is the Gold Diggers. So, living in a mining town, it kind of has sparked an interest in something. It's not like I was crazy about the Wild West, but when you hear some of these stories and the energy and just what these towns were built on, it's really intriguing.
Yeah, just the sheer like will and determination of, kind of the taming of the West, right? Coming out here and making
Yep.
something from nothing is just impressive.
Yeah, I would have been a Denver girl. I would have seen those mountains and went,
No,
no,
that's
it's
it. I'm here.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm here.
Well, that's how so many ended up there.
Yep.
And then you have Cheyenne, and it's like, really, the railroad had to stop right here. It's cold and windy. Like summer's not bad here, but yeah, wintertime, it's like, oh man, I don't know
Yeah.
how they thought this was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Far enough from the mountains, we always have wind. Yeah.
Yep.
Northern Colorado. Have you guys been up into Fort Collins or Greeley and done anything up there?
We've done Dickens Opera House. In
that's one that
Longmont,
has.
and that was a really cool spot. We actually had a little girl that kept coming through. I think her name was Cassie, and we have some clips where her voice came through, which was really, really neat.
Mhm.
That's a place that has stood out to me that I would like to get into.
Same here.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It was a pretty active time, and I think we were actually getting a lot of activity in the bathroom there, which was interesting. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Do you guys ever get activity in bathrooms? Because I don't know if it's like the water or the pipes or like, I feel like it was the same in the melting pot. There was like some activity in the bathrooms there too. So I don't know. I feel like that's a thing
funny.
sometimes.
I get stuck in
Our
bathrooms.
Our guest last week
Jason.
was what's that?
So I get stuck in bathrooms.
Yes,
Jason.
you do. Yep. We rescued you eventually.
Yeah, we talked to Arizona Pie 2 weeks ago because last week Jason's going to tell you who we talked to.
Yeah, we talked with an author, and she's actually got 2 books published on haunted bathrooms.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Erin
Yeah.
Taylor. She's out of Colorado Springs. Yeah.
Yep.
That was Aaron, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Aaron
Yeah.
Taylor.
Yep, she hosted an event at the Victor Hotel that I went to. She's really nice.
Yeah, she was great to talk to, and yeah, in the sense of humor with those books, being able to touch on that. But she did a lot of research, and didn't really realize how much places had haunted bathrooms until talking with her. And yeah, that's kind of her theory too, is the running water
Yeah.
in those areas are what does it.
Well,
Yeah, it's
and
not just like
you're
a
a captive
pipe thing.
audience.
Go ahead.
I mean, sorry, but you're a captive audience, and I think that's intriguing
Right.
to them too.
That's a good
Yep,
point.
catching you at a vulnerable time as well. Like, oh, guess what? You're going to sit here and listen to what I have to say now, right?
Well, we were at the St. Nicholas, and we had this crazy like hour-and-a-half session where we had orbs moving from one side of the room in front of us into the bathroom. Flashlight would go on in there. We'd ask them to, come back out. We'd see the orb come. Other flashlight would go on, and this just went on the whole night, and for like an hour. And so finally, we're like, okay, we are all just zapped. And turn on the lights. I'm like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. I have never been so scared to go to the bathroom in my life. I mean, I was like, I know what was just happening in there. What if she's still in there? Like,
Yep. Yep.
I'm
Let's
not
get all the
alone in
equipment
here.
out. No way to talk to me.
No, yeah. I'm totally
Yeah.
exposed here. I got nothing.
Yep.
So I always
Yeah.
just go in and I'm like, hey, if you're in here, cool. Just leave me alone for right now, please.
Mind your business. Yep.
I'll be out in a minute. Just give me a minute.
Yeah.
That was cool
So-
at the St. Nicholas too, because they were making the flashlight like strobe, almost like flicker really fast on command, which was unique.
So when y'all talk
would
about the
count.
flashlight, you want to talk a little bit about how you set that up?
Yeah, Christine.
It's your regular, it's a mini mag light. And for years I had the same flashlight and we got such great results. You just take off that top cover and there's going to be a little rubber gasket in there, and taking that out, you can really loosen it up. And so what I do is we'll find a location where we want to place it and then just get it really loose so that essentially a light touch will turn it on and off. And then in theory, the spirits are able to use that because it's so easy to turn on and off. They can use their energy to actually manipulate the light. And we use that for just letting us know if someone is with us, or also yes, no questions.
Gotcha.
And we've had great results with that.
We'll also do kind of a tap like when we set the flashlight down, we'll do a tap on the right next to the flashlight to make sure that it doesn't turn on just from someone walking by or just from like vibration.
Right.
So we'll do that just to make sure. But we've had really great success with the flashlights, and to the point where I've actually bought a few mag lights and I like to put them at different spots in the room. And it's really cool when you're getting the flashlights turning on at different times in response to the question. So you guys have done the double SS. We've got like triple flashlights going on. It's really neat.
That's cool. I always used to carry one with me, but I always seem to just forget to set it up, using, after getting all the other equipment out. We did have one time though, where just out of the blue, Aaron was like, oh yeah, let's set up a flashlight and see if we get anything here. And yeah, that was the one time we were getting responses on the flashlight, which was, kind of weird. It's just a spur of the moment thing. And it ended up working out really well for us.
Yeah. It's in the
it's
box.
great when
We just
you've been
don't
in a
ever pull it
room.
out.
Yeah, it's great when you've been in a room for like 20, 30 minutes and it hasn't turned on, and then all of a sudden it turns on. Like you forget that it's there. And it's especially great like when we have our public events, it freaks people out so much. They just like, oh wow, totally forgot that was there.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did I do what? And they're like, well, how did you get that flashlight to turn on and off? It was across the room.
You're like, this isn't
I
a
said,
magic show,
well,
wasn't me.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I was actually surprised by the question. I said, I didn't do anything. And this woman's face just went blank. She left.
She was like, oh,
the
no,
event.
just be real now. Yeah.
Yeah. She could not believe that that we were not manipulating it. And I mean, it was clear across the room.
Oh,
And
wow.
I had a reporter with me at the Georgetown Library, our small little local paper, and I set up a flashlight on the bookshelf, and I'm just talking, and he looks over, and he's looking at me, and he looks over, and he looks at me, and I looked, I'm like, oh, hi. And I just say hi. Thanks for turning that on. Can you turn it off now? And it went off. I thought he was going to run out of the room.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yep.
And we hadn't
Gina
even
and
started. Yeah.
Gina and I went to a public event up in Fairplay at the Hand Hotel, which
Yes.
is another
Yes.
cool place.
Yes.
It is.
And I swear probably 10 or 12 people, we sat down to do a group thing and like 10 or 12 people pull out flashlights and they're setting them all on tables and stuff. But I had never seen so many flashlights and they all came out. And it was like, oh, geez.
Oh, that's funny.
Were they going off
Well, ladies,
there?
yeah, it was. The Hand is really cool. Such a neat place. And of course, they have the South Park Museum. Another cool place that would be absolutely phenomenal to get into. I think there's 28 buildings in there or something. As we were walking around it, Gina's like, they're here and they want to talk. And I was like, let's do it.
Let's do
So
it.
just during the day, we were walking and talking. But it'd be a cool place to get into as well.
Interesting.
But yeah,
that's a cool
the
spot.
Hand.
Both of those are really cool spots. And the Hand, I felt like it was just very gentle energy there.
Mhm.
I think we stayed in Grandma Hand's room or something like that. It was just felt very like calm, very gentle.
Part of the event was just go walk the town. So when it got dark, we went. The courthouse takes up that whole block, and they have the old jail right there.
Yep.
And that was pretty interesting. Gina's in tune pretty well with stuff, and the way she got to acting was a little different than normal. And I'm like, we need to get away from this jail.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Well, ladies, it has been great having you on. Maybe we can get together. We're only 100 miles apart and
Yeah.
investigate somewhere.
That would be awesome.
That would
We
be
have
great.
a location up here that I'm sure Jason would more than willing to invite you to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, same
keep
goes to you
us-
guys. If you're in the Denver area, please, let us know and we'll make something happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll keep an eye on your Facebook too for your events. But if you wouldn't mind pinging us, let us know, and be more than happy to come down and support another local team and have some
It'd
fun
be
down there.
great to get a few teams together and try to get a con out this way.
I would love
I
that.
agree.
They're so far away.
Yeah.
Julia, what we're going to say there?
I said I agree. We actually tried to get one started a few years back, but then COVID hit and it kind of went by the wayside.
Yeah.
So
It's a lot of work trying to promote and get those going and a lot of contacts to build but maybe someday.
Yep.
Yep.
Again,
I think
thanks
that's
for
where
being-
having a few groups, working some different angles and kind of all kicking in, some work to get a con going. I think that could be a lot of fun.
That would be
It was
great.
blast.
Well, thanks for coming on. We're going to send you the green room. We'd like to chat with you just real quick afterwards. Thanks again.
Yeah, it's
Sounds
been a
good.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
What a cool team.
Yeah, great group. And
Well,
looking forward, hopefully we can come down and, support their events and, do some investigations with them. And it's always fun to talk to people that are local to us since there's so few,
Right. Yep. One thing we need to mention is Twinkle Twinkle. I saw Patricia posted that Twinkle is opening the mall store. They're doing their grand opening February 1st.
February 1st.
So,
Okay. Couple days.
Looks like they're going to have giveaways and some stuff like that. So I know Gina and I will probably make it over that way on the 1st and see Patricia and Tim. I'm excited to see the new store. The paint colors that I saw were pretty cool. Some of the displays that she's posted.
Yeah, it's
I think
this
they-
Saturday. So
Correct. And they're doing a sale, I believe, on some of the stuff at the Ridge store. So they do have a sale going on. So go over and see Tim and Patricia at Twinkle Little Store. Let them know we sent you. Go to their grand opening in the mall this weekend. And
Be fun.
we hope to see you there when we're there.
All right. Well, as always, thanks for everybody tuning in, and the ones that listen afterwards up on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Facebook. So we will see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.
The Paranomalies podcast would like to thank Twinkle Twinkle Little Store located in Cheyenne, Wyoming for sponsoring our show.